What's going on, everybody? This is Trey from Trey's Toys. I had a request for information from a new subscriber, Magic Power Vintage, over in Germany. I'm thinking he is got a little project similar to mine where he's got an old subsea outrigger, a smaller outrigger that he's converted over to lipo, and like mine, with the newfound power that the lipos offer, the boat hops real bad. And I'm just making this video to give him some information about my setup, and we're going to kind of try and exchange some stuff to see if we can get our boats figured out. My issue, I think, stems from having zero ability to adjust the center of gravity on the boat. With the size of the speed control mainly. The old brushless speed controls were little. They didn't handle as much amps. The subsea batteries that we used back then couldn't provide the amperage anyway. So, but anyway, this is just a basic 5-color 120, which everybody knows is the same size as the 150, just with some smaller wires, but it takes up a large amount of space. Normally I would have my battery all the way back here, which would give me a more rearward center of gravity. I may have to play with that in the future if I can't get it to work like this. Anyway, so basically any extra open area that I had in this thing, I decided to stuff some flotation in there, because little Trey asked me at one point, well, what happens if it gets water in it? And the only thing I could say was, it'll probably sink, dude. So that's what I did. I filled any voids with foam back here. I couldn't fit anything in the back anymore anyway. That's the Fly Sky receiver and a little Bantam mini servo. That's 2958 Rocket RC, 4480 kV. And then the batteries that I'm using are these little Ovonic 3S 3000 milliamp packs. And basically this goes right in this little hole, basically shoved up in there just enough so where I could get the lid over the top of it, and then I make my connections there. And I also have my my Sky RC GPS that I was using to track speed, and you just have to take my word for it. When I get the wiring squared away, I can fit everything right there, but that's where it sits. So basically what that equates to is, let's see if I can find an actual center of gravity right there. So center of gravity, let's call that right here. So let's say, let's see if we can put a little dot on there, if I have a pen around anywhere. So center of gravity looks to be about right there. See if I got that right. I can see right here. All right, so we are at behind the rear of the sponsons. So we're gonna call that 4 inches. So 4 inches is right about 100 centimeters. So that's where my CG ends up being. The little hatch, I don't think that's going to change anything. It's just a piece of 16th inch Lexan. So yeah, it still adjusts the same right there. So we'll call that 4 inches or 102 millimeters behind the rear sponsons. That's where my center of gravity is, which is actually not too bad, to be honest. I actually thought it was going to be more forward biased than that, but I guess because I'm running such a small battery, it's not. Anyway, so just real quick, that is the little mini Offshore Electrics rudder on the back of it. The strut is, I think this was FDM back in the day. It was basically full fast electric hardware that had been anodized. That's the little small 3/16 strut. And I don't know if I said it at the beginning of the video or not, but what that is there is It's a 35-16 prop from OSC. I had a little issue yesterday where I went to go run the boat and I lost my whole flex shaft with my my 32 18 3-blade that I was running on here. It's a little CNC prop. I won't even get into what happened with that, but it involved the coupler, so we'll just leave it at that. So anyway, this boat is, let's see, from the tip of the sponson to the back is 21 inches long. You're gonna have to convert that yourself to metric because I can't give it to you offhand. And the width from the widest part of the sponsons to one side is about 13.5 inches. So 21 by 13.5, that's the hull length. I would call the leading edge of the prop is probably 1.5 inches back from the transom. And then angle of attack on the sponsons, I don't remember what it is. And I don't even want to speculate because I'll probably sound stupid and get it way wrong, but that gives you an idea of what it is right there. So basically on the setup yesterday, when I took off, the boat actually looked planted. What I did was I set this on a flat surface and I used the measurement from the depth of the sponsons to the tub, and I set the bottom of my strut to be the same depth as that, and then I made the strut completely neutral so it was level with the bottom of the ride surface, which should have been what I did anyway. And like I said, it took off great. I went 100 yards, turned right, and got on it, and I lost the flex shaft and prop. So that ended the day for that. It went 55 hopping like mad. There's the first video that I posted, actually the only video I think that I posted of this thing from last Monday. And so my thoughts were, if it went 55 hopping as bad as it was, I think that it probably has mid upper 60s, maybe even 70 plus miles an hour in this little setup if I can keep it on the water. I removed the turn fin because I didn't have the right turn fin anymore. Like I said, this boat is 25 years old. I don't even know. I think I used a carbon fiber boom or like a standoff that went back, and then I had a little small aluminum blade so I could adjust the position of the turn fin. But for straight line purposes, that's not necessary. I tried to use like a little aluminum blade turn fin out of one of the OSC kits, and it would still spin out anyway, and it just wasn't in the right position to be of much help. So I figured we'll get it going straight first, and then we'll cross the turning bridge point after, and see what we need to do with that. So yeah, it's a pretty lightweight setup. Everything is water cooled. I had the little cooling jacket on there, the fly colors water cooled, etc. One hose. The boat, I originally built this boat with what I would do is I would use I would build the boat with balsa wood, and then I would laminate the balsa with either 1/64 or 1/32 light ply. And I would use CA glue for my whole assembly process. I've done that for years. I've even done that on the bigger boats that we use today that go much faster than these old boats were ever capable of. But I was getting a little nervous thinking about the speeds that this thing could potentially achieve. So it looks like crap, but it actually has a layer of 1.5 ounce fiberglass cloth and a couple of coats of finishing epoxy resin. I use Zap. That's just kind of my choice, and they carry it locally at the little hobby supply store. So it kind of looks funky and unfinished, but I wanted to get it strengthened up and then tested before I decided to finish it any better than that. So the running surfaces are nice and smooth. The fiberglass added a lot of strength to the hull and to the sponsons. And so we were ready to rock and roll. When I put it in the water and it hopped like crazy, I was kind of like having flashbacks of back in the day setting these guys up. This is the 21-inch version of the original boat I built right here. I think this is 26 inches. That was the first Brave Hart rigger that I made. I made it for a couple of guys that were in my club back in the day. I ran that in P Hydro back in the early 2000s with, I think I ran a Hacker B50 10L, and props range from V937 for going fast to like I had a cut Octura 642 that I would run on it, and worked real good for oval. I don't know what the speeds were back in the day. We really weren't tracking them with GPS or anything. The GPSs were too big. But it ran good. Had a couple of good finishes and some races down in Florida. But anyway, that's where that one came from. And then almost immediately after I built that, I built a scaled down version of it. And I think I even built a O Hydro class, which would have been for 8 subsea cells. So that was 12 subseas. This was 6 subseas, and then the O version was probably 2 inches longer than this, and that one ran on 8 subseas. This one, even back in the day, power-wise, for what you put in it, it was pretty impressive. Probably ran close to 50 on, I think I ran I actually ran a Hopf. It's the equivalent of a B40 L Hacker, but Hop's version of it with a Schultz 105WO, and maybe not a 105WO. I don't remember. I think there was an issue with voltage cut on those if you ran 6 cells, but something equivalent to that back in the day. But we also used to use little small receiver packs in these boats too, because the BEC didn't work good on those. They might not even had BEC. Anyway, I'm going off in the wrong direction. But so that's the boat. It's 21 by 13.5 inches. Center of gravity is 4 inches behind the back of the sponsons. And I can't give you my results from the last test because, like I said, I lost my prop and my shaft. So you can let me know what you think. I don't know your name yet. But see what you can do with your rigger. I don't know if it's the same size, but I'm thinking it's got to be pretty similar. If you ran it on 7 subseas, it couldn't have been much bigger than that. Back in the day, these boats were pretty small. But anyway, so I hope everybody enjoys the video. I didn't really expect to do this, but I figured this was easier than just passing forth some measurements. So we can share some information, and hopefully we can get these little guys screaming on the water like they used to. But all right, you guys have a good day. Thanks for watching. Bye.